rose. Tulip is a solid bourgeois flower, but even it's a solid bourgeois flower, not so flashy and flamboyant, but solid and very beautiful indeed. Something it's like the Dutch people, the more bourgeois nations, which were living in the times of still the dominance in the whole Europe of the aristocracy. It was something like preferring the good, clean wooden room to tacky, golden, dirty room, something like this. So we have a bourgeois equivalent of aristocratic value or something like this. But although the tulip is a humble, elegant but humble version of equivalent of rose, aristocratic flamboyant rose, the tulips were also sometimes used for extravagant purposes. It was the whole tulipomania in the 17th century, and the people were speculating on the worth of those flowers, and they got the people who sold them in time got rich, and the people who didn't got very poor. To counter things like that, they have established a modern stock exchange market already in the 17th century, but it didn't help. In the 18th century there was another very costly speculations, socially costly speculations, which was called the Windhandel, the trade of wind, because there was supposed gains from the colonial trade which never came. The same was in France. They called this same phenomenon diable d'argent, and the same was in England. They called it South Sea bubble. But the Dutch were not immune to this problem. They were extravagant enough, although this bourgeois modesty was still a little bit inborn. Okay. The individualistic way of playing football, that's true. If the Dutch were going individually, and if they can force the Germans, for instance, to play individually and not as the Mannschaft, as the crew, they are the winners, and sometimes it happens. It's really a treat although I am not especially a fan of football, although there's many interesting social and facts, and also some national stereotypes can be watched during the football matches. So although I'm not a very huge fan of football, I can assure that it's a real treat to see the match between the Dutch and German crews, because they totally different approach towards life and football visible. Okay, many people who ask how it's called, going on ice, skidding, I don't know, skidding, I think. So there's even the race which is called Elfstedentocht, which takes place in the winter, and it's 200 kilometers to go on skis, no, on the other, the schaatsen, it's in Dutch, I don't know, in the Netherlands language. I don't know, it's skidding, I don't know. Something with this, on these boots and on ice. Okay, so 200 kilometers, 11 towns, and so on. So it's really something. It's heel moeilijk, as the Dutch say. Very tiring. Okay, so I think the Dutch people, they which my students didn't mention, is that the Dutch people prefer not only talk but also action to inaction and no discussion. They want to talk, they want to act. They think this is totally different than for instance, the Slavic approach, which is sometimes they think, because this is a more peripheral approach to things, I mean culturally peripheral, that the Western Europe will try something out, and then the Slavic nations, they have much time on their hands, and they can just